I'm Brown Boy from the Brown Boy channel, and you're watching TV3.
Welcome to TV3. On this week's episode, we'll be taking a look at a jet, some video games, the return of Fumina, and of course, answering some of your comments and questions in the feedback section. But first, a little bit of housekeeping, as I've gotten a lot of questions regarding what's going on with Toy Talk and where was last week's episode of TV3. Well, in an effort to satisfy both parties, the shows will be sort of combining and sharing the same schedule. So basically, going forward every month, the first 3 weeks you will get TV3, and on the final week or the last Monday of every month, you will get an episode of Toy Talk. The thing is, both shows kind of fit the same audience, and they kind of deal with the same topics. And instead of having 4 shows of TV3, the last one will just be with a couple other people. It'll be less edited, and it'll be a bit more interaction between us and the community. So that's all you gotta worry about. Oh, and of course, if you want to introduce the next installment of TV3, you can always do so by sending in your short little video clip to my email over at typeb3@gmail.com, or you can use a social media channel like Twitter or Instagram, or even send me the video here over on YouTube, and I'll make sure to put you in the next episode. Alright, so the news is fairly light this week, but that's really no surprise considering that Toy Fair and Wonderfest just happened recently, so I don't expect toy companies to be rushing out with new announcements anytime soon. Nevertheless, there are a couple things I picked out, most of them Gundam related, but we'll start with the one that isn't, and that is that Arcadia have announced their next entry into the Macross universe, and they are doing the SV-51Y from Macross Zero. Now, I don't think Macross Zero is a very good show, or anime, or whatever, but it does have some of the coolest variable fighters in all of Macross, and this is one of them. We don't have anything else to go on beyond this picture, but what I will say is that it's going to be expensive, very expensive. Arcadia is, I don't know how they do it, but they are able to just put out these incredibly ridiculous prices and people still buy them. So, hey, if they can, they should. Why not? Also to note, this is done in collaboration with T-Rex. T-Rex is the toy design company that is kind of like Japan's version of the Four Horsemen. So they make some pretty good stuff. The most recent T-Rex item I own is their Riobot Getter from Sentinel, and it's fantastic. So I expect this little plane to be pretty good too. Alright, let's go on to the Gundam stuff, and I've got 2 things from Build Fighters and 1 from Iron Blooded Orphans. We'll start with the latter, and that is that Bandai, I think this is saying that they are deciding whether or not to release one of the other 72 Gundams in the series, and that would be the Gundam Dantilion. I mean, I'm all for Bandai fleshing out more of the universe of Iron Blooded Orphans and seeing what other designs are. I don't ever expect we'll see all 72 designs, but it's nice to get a couple more other than what we've seen on screen. Now, the Dantilion looks like, hey, what if we took the Astray and put it in the IBO universe? And, you know, fair play to them, the Astray is a very popular mobile suit, and if you make one that looks just like that, but put it in something a bit more recent, I think it could be really cool. I mean, imagine, you know, Iron Blooded Orphans has full inner frames and high grades, and this is a very minimalist design. It could make for a really good model kit. As you guys know, I don't really like the Astray. I don't like the design of the Astray. I don't like the design of this either. But hey, for all you who are into it, good news. It might be coming your way. All right, as for the 2 Build Fighter announcements, the first one is the Build Fighters Gundam Schwarz Ritter. This is a high grade. It looks to be heavily based off of the Denial Gundam, only it's got a bit more to it, and it's painted in black and gold. So immediately it's cooler than the Denial Gundam, and I'm way into it. I'm not sure if this is a P Bandai or if this is a regular release. Unfortunately, you know, I didn't really read too much into the topic. I just saw the article, and yeah, it looks neat. I'll definitely want to get myself one of these. And the last thing is the latest in the Figurized Bust series, and we've got another Fumina, this time in her ending version outfit. So not wearing the pink sports bra with the yellow sweater. This is just the full-on spandex shirt. Honestly, I think this one's a bit boring compared to the first one, just because I liked how the first one had that yellow jersey or that yellow sweater, and it was just a bit more dynamic, having the flowing sweater around her and stuff. It just looked neater to me. This one, I mean, you can argue that the pose is better or worse. I don't know. To me, it just looks like, hey, I'm a girl, I got a hot body, check it out, done. Will I buy it? Probably, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's not really something that's super interesting. Again, even her uniform is black and white, so it's kind of a bit boring in that sense. But hey, if people will buy it, then Bandai will make it, so that's just how their motto goes. Alright, on to this week's purchases, and if you didn't have the time to check out Toy Talk last week, I'll show you what I showed there, and that is that I picked up the Speed Champions Scuderia Ferrari S F-16H. This is last year's Ferrari, and I'm super psyched to get this, but what I really wanted was the big Mercedes set. Unfortunately, the Mercedes set I couldn't find at my Toys R Us. It is available online now via Lego.com, and they do have double points for VIP members, and I figure that might just be the way to go for me now. So yeah, super neat to have this. I can't wait to build it, and probably I'll get another one. But of course, the big thing I bought this week, and if you follow me on Instagram, you'll already know, I bought The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Nintendo Switch. And of course, if I have the game, that of course means I did buy the Switch itself. I've been super pumped for the Switch. I love the idea of this console. It's something I've always wanted since I was a kid. I didn't have all the fancy consoles growing up. I always had the handhelds because they were just a lot cheaper and it was easier for my mom to afford. And I lived off handhelds like the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance, even the Game Gear. Oh man, that Game Gear was my favorite as a kid. But yeah, this is what I've always wanted. You know, the console level of play that you could take with you on the go. Unfortunately, there only is Zelda. I mean, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any games in the near future that I'm going to look forward to. But yeah, the thought of the Switch and then Monster Hunter was just too much. I guess I was just so psyched by it that I had to have it. And yeah, so I look forward to next year when I'm playing Monster Hunter on my Switch. Oh, right, and the guys over at the EB Games decided to throw in this Game Informer magazine. I guess it was a promotion they were running. You buy the Zelda and the Switch and you get a copy of Game Informer. Game Informer is not my favorite magazine. I was always a kid who grew up on EGM. Of course, that outfit died years ago, so I don't know who runs this. Whatever. It'll be a fun read, I guess. Alright, first comment comes in from, is that Adrian Dratazinal? Anyways, he wants to know what I think about G-Reco. I think it was incomprehensible. I loved the art style. I loved the designs of the mecha. But man, that was the hardest thing to follow. I had to drop it off after 8 episodes because I just didn't know what was going on. But if you liked it, hey, more power to you. I mean, there's less of you guys in the world. That makes you special. Mandu wants to know, which ship do you prefer, Mikazuki and Kudelia, or Mika and Astra or Atra? Just curious. I prefer the one and only ship, and that is Mika and Orga. Draxin wants to know, this isn't directly related to what you're talking about, but since you mentioned Sentinel and Riobot, I wanted to know what your thoughts of the Dino Getter 1 from Sentinel and the Jehuti figures from Riobot. Dino Getter 1, I've messed with it. It's neat, but it's definitely not worth the price, and it's not as cool as you think it is. At least that was my initial impression. As for Jehuti, well, funny you should ask, because I have it here on display, and it is, if you're a Zone of the Enders fan, this is the Jehuti figure to get. It's pretty awesome. Again, like most Sentinel things, though, very, very expensive for what you get. I mean, again, this is a 6-inch robot with a stand and some stuff, and it retails for nearly $150. I managed to get mine on a sale for about half that, and at that price, it's super worth it, and it's a very good toy. But it's Sentinel, man. Sentinel makes the greatest stuff. I just wish they were a bit more affordable, but hey, I think it's a very good toy. I still don't have the Anubis yet. I should probably get on that, though. Ned wants to know who's my favorite character in any Gundam series. That's pretty simple. It's Domon Kashu, the King of Hearts. How can you not love him? He's just burning passion and rage and everything. He's the best. I mean, there's really no one else. I mean, the only person who I might even consider, and this is more of a joke, is Setsuna. Then that's because I love how much he believes he's a Gundam, and that's kind of it. But other than that, Setsuna's garbage. Actually, hold on. The guy Setsuna fights, what's his name? Is it Alial Sanchez? The guy who's just pure evil, who has no motive or no side. He just is in it for himself. He's cool. He's the type of guy I like. Do you collect the High Metal R Macross figures? Do you recommend them? I do, but I only collect the Valkyries. At the moment, that's all I have. I don't have any of, say, the villain robots or any of the big stuff, just the simple VF1s. And I will say that if you just want a VF1 to put on display, they're pretty good. They might be a little more pricey than I think they're worth, but they're fun if you can get a couple of them and have a cool display. If you just want one VF1 to be like your prime display candidate, I still say try and shell out for the Arcadia or the Yamato one. the 160. They're a bit pricier at, they start at about 20,000 yen, which is a lot considering what they are. But that is still one of my favorite toys of the past 10 years, and it's incredible. And it's the transforming toy I always recommend to everybody when they just want a good transforming toy. Elias wants to know, what are your thoughts on their newly released movie of Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale and also SAO Season 3? I was one of those people who when Sword Art Online came on the scene, I was super into it. I loved it. The first 14 episodes, is that what they were? I thought they were great. I loved every single bit of it. The second half of that first season was kind of weird, kind of not really what I was into. And then from then on, it just kind of snowballed into this thing that I had no care for anymore. And now in hindsight, I think that where Sword Art Online is now is pretty garbage. I still stand by the first 14 episodes, but everything after that, don't bother. It's kind of a waste, and I don't want anything to do with it anymore. Ajit wants to know, why can't I talk naturally? Do I really have to make that voice? Now, I don't know what you mean by this, because this is my voice. If you're talking about the cadence of my speech, that's kind of who I am. I can't really change that, but I think I know where you're going with this. You're one of those cool people who, can't convey emotion. You can't be too happy about anything, because you got to be cool, right? Because if you're too happy about something, then people think you're an idiot, you're a loser. But you got to be cool. You got to have no emotion and do that. So I think I got you. Hey, I'm Type V3. Welcome to my show about toys and shit. I have some opinions. You don't have to listen, but whatever. This is for you, Ajit. This is for you. And that's another episode of TV3 over and done with. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And remember, if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section below. Now, if you thought that my content output was pretty poor as of late, get ready for it to be even worse, because now that I have a new video game to play with, I'm not going to be doing this YouTube thing. So later.